Okay, I'm back, and before I complete my my work day here and kind of chill for a little bit, I wanted to go ahead and show the use of Champolion, where you had mentioned Champolion was an excellent idea, and I wouldn't honestly I wouldn't have thought of that, and I would have normally thought of the source code. So fantastic idea. So let me show you how I did it in this app, how I kind of do it with using that extensibility. There's a lot of extensibility built in to this application. So let me kind of show you how I did it. So basically, whenever you double click an item, it looks to, let me show you the files here so you can kind of see, give you a little bit of an idea. There's a file called program control, and it's basically just an pretty much all the files are XML format files. They're kind of like a markup file, which uses uses this as kind of like an identifier. In YAML it would be like a comma, and then you'd have your data set. But basically, whenever you double click an item in a list, it knows you double clicked it. So what it does, it looks at the item's link. So each item has a link, but you can also reference fields in the item that you see. So you can have a link to it, and then you can have the fields that you see. So if you want to pass a particular field that you're looking at to one of these functions, you can do that as well. But right now we're going to just look at the link. So whenever you double click an item, it literally has an extension, right? So RTF would be like a rich text file as an example, and we're talking about PSC. So let's do a PSC. Okay, so here's a PSC. What? Okay, so yeah, I just noticed PEX, and it's PEX Inspector. That's probably the one. That I bet you. I don't think I have this installed because I don't. I might, because it's actually in the available. We're not even going to look at that. Let's look at PSC. So in PEX, let's see. Let's go down here. Actually, I didn't know this was here. Now that I'm making this video, I didn't even pay any attention to this, but I actually define it down here. So yeah, so if you define it again, the last one actually, that's the one that it overrides the previous one. So here you can see where I've linked it to Champolion. So this is the program control file, and it does a lot of things. It allows you to specify source directories, executables, and even executables are linked back to this. So you can have overrides. You can like if you're going to run, like, let's say Notepad, you can set up in the program control that when it finds that you're running Notepad, it's like, oh, they've set up an override for this, so I want to use the parameters or however they have it set up. So when I start Notepad, it could be your own personal copy of Notepad. It could be a modified version. It could be a lot of different things. But this is the program control file. The other file that was involved is the unmanaged file, and there's a lot of things in here, but for right now, this these are file patterns that you want to associate with a particular function. So this is how, when I'm downloading, let's say, a load order from the forums, it automatically throws it up on the screen. So if I want to, and you can put patterns in here. So I literally can say, if you find a file, if I've downloaded a file that matches this pattern, I want to process it this way rather than having it sent to my managed mod folder. That's kind of like how I extended that. So like I say, nothing's hard-coded. Well, the manage is hard-coded, but that's just the interface. But you have extensions. So this is how I want to handle extensions. So in a sense, when a file is created that has a .psc extension, then basically what I want to do is I want to pass that file to Notepad. And this, again, is the opcode. So you put the opcode that you want to handle this operation, and then again the parameters you're passing to it. So I needed to set that up. Now again, consider this a situation where a year from now, different file types come out, and you want to handle those file types without having to recompile the program. Think in those terms. That's how that was the intention of this particular design. You could over here there is show commands to where you can do this, but this one was a little more complicated because it had an extra step. It wasn't just, okay, you double clicked on a Fossy file, so I want to send that file to this function, which I believe is gonna open the, I believe it opens the save file is what that does. Or like a NIF, for example, where you have NIF scope, and I'll show you. So it's really, it's pretty simple. It looks complicated, but it's simple. In effect, when I double click on something, what do you want me to do with it? And I'm saying, okay, you double click on something, I want you to send the file name. I want you to send that. I want you to launch NIF scope passing at the file name. That's really all that needed to be done. This one was a little more complicated in that I needed to run Champolion. And then Champolion, I needed to tell it, this is where I want you to put, that's the root path. This is where I want you to decompile the scripts. And that path, just a little bit of kind of like tech info, that path has really two functions. If I give it the name, if I say the executable name is just Champolion exe, and I say this is the exe path, it combines those two things together for the fully qualified executable name, but yet it still uses the exe path, or it will get if it's not specified, it will get the directory of whatever you're executing to be the root path. That's the root. So anything that happens would get dumped into that root. So I know I can launch it. It's gonna send the output to this root, to this folder, in a sense. So those are really the only things I needed to change. I did go in and tweak the code a little bit because this is something I haven't actually done before, so I needed to test it, and I think I had to put in like one line of code. But this is really all that's required. Now in my game, in my game, or in the way that I have my system configured, whenever file watcher events are triggered, and you can watch as many folders as you want, one of the application itself, it will watch its own folder to see if anything is created. And I'll kind of go into more of that extensibility as I go. That'll be for future videos, and I can show you kind of like what that's for. And in a sense, it links other programs that are completely unrelated to this application in a very, very simple way, because I like to keep things simple. And if it's simple, then anyone can understand it, and then anybody can use it, modify it, and do whatever they want to with it. I didn't want to do any kind of Windows messaging or anything weird like that. Okay, so what we want to do is, we were talking about using Champolion to decompile scripts. Now I know I can get the script name. From the let me think. I can get the script name from the papyrus log. I know I can get it from the papyrus log, which is over here. I can get it from one of these. All I need to do is link it back to its location. So that is something that I would need to. That is something I would have to build a database. I could probably even do it per game. It shouldn't be that difficult to do. To literally just get the location and then the script name. Therefore, once I have just the base script name, therefore none of the path of the PSC script matters. It won't matter. All I need is the actual script name itself. The actual name. And then I'll drop the extension, add PEX to it. So I'll drop the PSC, add PEX to it. That will give me just the name, the file name. And then not the qualified file name, just the file name. And then I can look that up in a database that's very easily built. And when I look that up, I know exactly where that executable is located, whether it's a loose file or whether it's in an archive. Now, the code to extract the archive doesn't exist yet, but it is coming. It needs to be in here because that's part of the flow. But it will work for loose files. So what I did was I went over to here and say, okay, I know Transfer Settlements has one. So, before I did that, I wanted to make sure that all the scripts were put in a folder that is in the application's root folder, because it does look in this root folder for files to be created. And then I have a temp folder set up. So I basically set up, just scripts, just a blank, just a folder. And then I specified in this program control file that that is the folder that I want to use as my root folder. So when Champolion runs, that's where it's going to output the scripts in a sense. So what I did is I thought, okay, now let's take a look at some scripts. So I know Transfer Settlements has some. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and we're going to find the mod that has Transfer Settlements in it, which is up here. And then it's highlighted, so it found it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to show the files. Let's go ahead and show this. It takes a minute. Okay, here's all the files. So we're going to look for PEX, but on the way, what we're going to do is let's take a look at a NIF. I always thought this stuff was kind of cool. I have no idea what this is. But this is what I was talking about, how you can extend it. So in a sense, I just fire off Blender and then I pass the NIF to it. And, see, there's your NIF. So, and that's how you extend it. There's nothing really complicated about it. It's just very, very simple. So, and again, with the PEX, with the PEX files, it had one extra step. So I had to account for it. All right, so the functionality's in there. You just have to apply it. All right, so let's find our PEX, which is here. So we're going to double click a PEX file, and here you go. So what happened is when I double clicked the PEX, it went to the control file. Whoops, that was actually, I got the control file in this. It went over here to the control file and said, okay, you want me to show a PEX file. How do I do that? If it's not in here, it won't launch anything because it doesn't know what to do. So, and again, there's two occurrences of show PEX. So the last one, because the way it's loaded, the last one has precedence. And that way you can have different things in there and you can easily take it out. But, so what do you want me to do with it? I want you to run Champolion, and there is the full path to Champolion. I could just simply put Champolion exe, and it will combine the exe path with the program. And then I set the root folder, because this is the root folder when you run it, because what I'm doing is I'm actually doing this. Not that one, this one. I'm actually doing this right here. So opcode 65 is it's a function in the pipe that says you give me the name of the program, you give me the name of the you give me the parameters for the program, and I'm going to launch it. I'm going to start it. It starts it as a task. And it can monitor that task. There's a lot of parameters you can use. You can even take a look at the output. I do that with archive files when I extract them. I'll take a look and say, okay, did this extract okay? If it didn't, then I automatically throw that output up on the screen. So that's what this did. So this actually said I want to call opcode 65. Again, that's just run. It runs a task, and then there is a function built into here. It's over in this library called simple task, and this is the watcher library to actually catch watched events, but it's just something called simple task, and it allows you to do some pretty cool stuff. So I had to watch for the extension because I have to watch for the extension because it's being created. And then I have to tell it what I want it to do. It goes to program control and say, okay, I know what that is, so we're good. And well, actually, I have that in reverse. I'm actually thinking about something else. That I'm actually doing some coding in the back of my mind. So that's yeah. But what it does is when I show it, it runs Champolion. Then Champolion's going to create a file. I want to watch for this file. I want to watch for a PSC file a file that has PSC as an extension to be created. At that point in time, I want to send that file name to this function, to 65. So I'm going to run Notepad, and I'm going to pass the text file that was just created. I could pass it to an internal function, but so it's really not a lot of steps, but I had to utilize the extensions of this application. I had to combine a couple things, a couple very simple things to get it to automatically come up. So this way it would be easy to go in, double click something, and see there's the second script. And if you go over here, you'll see in this there's the 2 scripts that we've extracted, and then we'll go pop another one real quick. Let's go pop another one. And if you go over here, you'll see the 3rd script. And that's all there is to it. So that's a way. And the only thing I changed, I had to change a little bit of code in there to actually look at the extensions when files were created, because I didn't have that code in there, but that's in there now. So whenever you put it in the unmanaged extensions, wherever that may be, this does work now. It actually, because there's events for when files are created, files are changed, and files are deleted, and I needed to put that in there. And I actually refactored those pipeline functions. I refactored that, so I had to actually go in and put some stuff back in. And that's why it was actually 1 line of code, to be honest. It wasn't much. Just simply check the extension, and that's what it did. So, good call on that. That's really nice. This way, once I get to where I can actually do the decompression, I'll be able to access, I can literally go in and get the script, and I can literally bring up what the script is doing. I don't necessarily, need comments per se. I don't know if this is the new one. I don't think this has, yeah, it does have comments because he's got the comment section, so good. Yeah, so, that might put me in the general area. Using Notepad does have line numbers, so I could probably use that a little bit to at least get me in the general area. Or, the functions, so if it doesn't completely match up, I'll be able to see the function and maybe the call that's in there. Yeah, I like that. That's really a good call, and I think that's going to help. I think when I have more time and learn a little bit more about scripting, that's definitely going to help. Let's go ahead and pull that. That's definitely going to help with trying to figure out, why things don't work, why they do work, and maybe help try to debug some of this stuff in time. I still want to have some kind of trace. I still am eventually going to have to come up with some kind of workflow or some kind of trace function to be able to trace things back, to follow the flow of data. I'm still going to need something like that to try and see how things flow through, because I'm thinking that if scripts are running and cells are loaded, but it's not fully loaded before a script runs, then it's possible that important code is going to be bypassed because that reference is not available. Things won't get initialized properly. That's kind of like what I'm thinking, or I see an instance where that is a possibility, at least how I'm thinking. But yeah, but I just want to show you that, and show you that it does work. You can use the, there is features in there where you can extend what the program does by simply typing a few things in a text file, and yeah, that's it. So all right, I'm gonna hop off here and call it a day. I've got other things I need to do. So yeah, it's been fun, and yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow, and we'll see what other kind of stuff we can get into. All right, so you guys have a good evening.